Hi, and welcome to Old School Blues Guitar. It is time for the acoustic blues lesson of the month for November-December 2016. And by request, I've got another Lightning Hopkins tune. This one is his version of Ray Charles' classic song, What I Say. It's played in the key of E, and there's an introduction to it. There's some verses and some guitar that's played behind the vocals, and then there's a bunch of solos. So this is a really cool tune, pretty straightforward, and a lot of different ideas that you hear Lightning Hopkins use and most of his other stuff. So let's get started. We'll start out with the introduction, and I'll try to play this for you one time through. I do have tab for this, and I'm going to try to teach everything the best I can note for note, but if I make mistakes, then the tab should be pretty true to what the recording is. Now, he's done several recordings of this, so the one that I am doing is off an LP called Annie's Blues. And I don't know if it's a CD or a vinyl LP. I found it on YouTube, and I'll attach this to my comments on my Facebook page for Old School Blues Guitar. Let's get started. It's an introduction. It goes like this. It's in the key of E. He starts into the vocal. Tell your mama, tell your pa, gonna send you back to Arkansas, right? From there. So the first part, we're starting out, we're playing over an E shape, and he starts out on the second fret of the fifth string. Now when I listen to this carefully, he starts out with this. Sounds like he has almost like a little stumble bass in there, like you would hear Blind Blake or Blind Boy Fuller, or a lot of the other country blues players that were playing long before Lightning. And I listened to this a few times. I think you could play it with or without the stumble bass. But he starts out on the second fret of the fifth string, open fourth string, and then second fret of the fourth string, so like this. And then he's going to keep the E position. I call this a Lightning Hopkins E, where I've got my first finger on the first fret of the third string. My second finger is going to get both the fifth and fourth strings at the second fret. And then the stumble is he's going to take his, I assume, his thumb pick and drag it over the open sixth to the fifth string. So like this. Like that. So he starts out, and he's got the stumble, and then he goes back to the fifth string, and then the open fourth, and then back on. What you can do is just take that E shape and take it off and put it on. You don't have to pick each individual string, just use the chord shape. So he starts out, let's do that real slow. Like that. Then when he goes to the 4 or the A, he does the same thing, where he's going to have you can make the A chord just like that with your first finger. You really only need to get the second, third, and fourth strings, and you got the open fifth string. And you're going to do the stumble again, from the fifth string to the fourth string. Like that. And then you're going to get the second fret of the fourth string a second time. Open third, and it sounds to me like he goes back to the second fret of the fourth string. So instead of doing this, he never does that. Instead he goes back. Whoops. Like that. Check the tab. So the whole thing so far. He does the E again, and then when he gets to the 5, which is going to be really over a B7th chord, it sounds like he's going to hammer on to the second fret of the fifth string, which is your B, and then open fourth string to the second fret of the fifth string twice. So it's hammer on, that. Then he's going to do this little roll. I don't know if he gets the first and the second frets like that, or if he's just hammering onto the fifth string again. So it could be 1, 2, open, 1, 2 on the fifth string, open fourth string. But he ends up doing this. Whoops, do it again. And this part is going to hammer on the second fret of the fifth string, open fourth string, open fifth string, third fret of the sixth string, open. So like this. And he uses that little bass figure several times throughout the song. And then he does this turnaround. This is a typical Lightning country blues turnaround in E. Sounds like he... something like that. He slides in from the... with the first finger on the second fret of the second string, second finger maybe on the third fret of the third string. It sounds like it's like that. So he's going to slide in the first part and then move everything down. Like that. To the B7. And then he hits the E, kind of a bassy E chord for the first stop time. Turn through, and I'll try to do it real slow. And there we get into the first verse. Now over the verses, when he's singing, he only sings a couple, 3 verses. And he does the stop times. Sounds like with the open sixth string, or maybe part of the E chord. Really, again, I've just got my first and second finger making the E chord. You don't hear this too much. So it sounds like downstrokes on either just the sixth and fifth string with the E chord shape. And there's a couple times where it sounds like he just thumps the open sixth. Now he does the stop times, and then for the 4 chord, he makes an A 7th chord. And then I can't really hear the bass on this, but he plays the chord like this. Sometimes he bounces back and forth. Lightning does when he plays that A 7th, does something like this. But on this, it sounds like this. He's probably keeping the bass thumping the open fifth string with my right hand palm muting. So try that. So he's getting the rhythm with his right hand, with his index finger. Something like that. Then when he comes back to the 1, it sounds like he gets just a little bit of an E. So I got the E, and what I'm doing is getting the open sixth string, and then my first finger is brushing up. So I'm just getting that. And then I'm sliding my third finger from the third fret of the second string to the fifth fret. And I'm getting the open first string in there too. So it's... and then it sounds like he does a quick slide where he's taking his ring finger from the fifth fret of the second string up to the third and then off the guitar. So one more time. And then he does the B7th chord. And the first time he just does the stop and then the turnaround. Then we do another stop time. See the woman with the red dress on. She can love her daddy all night long, alright. Hey, hey. And when he does the next stop, second verse, it sounds like he kind of gets the open fifth string and maybe part of that A chord and just lets it hang. And then the turnaround. And that's the second vocal verse. So the vocal verses, when you're singing it, I'm not much of a singer, but if I did sing it, you know, he's just playing an E, A7th, sometimes the B7th in there. I have these chords diagrammed on the tab sheet, if you don't know them. This lick, that's one that's a little tricky. I don't know if I've got the timing down exactly, or the picking on that one exactly, but that's what he's doing. And then he doesn't get the treble notes, it's more right there. So there's the introduction and the guitar behind the first two vocal verses. Now in the next part of this lesson we're going to break down the solos. There are 4 of them, 4 or 5, and 2 of them, actually 2 of the solo verses are repeated. So you've got really 3 different things that he plays for the solos. And then he does an end tag. The version that I'm listening to teach this lesson is a short song. And there's some other versions of him playing this on YouTube, live versions and other stuff you can look at to get some more ideas. But for this lesson, I thought I'd take the version that I think is the easiest one to approach. I'll be back in a little bit with part 2.